Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flowcast, a place where we float between deep and funny topics and come out not any smarter. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Roshan, and this is the Floatcast.
Well, Roshan, I hope you had a happy New Year's. It is 2021, and I was just curious. Do you have any big plans for 2021?
2021. My biggest plan was to get away from 2020.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I know. Besides that, 2021 is the year to like recover out of everything that has happened in 2020. So I don't have any like I really don't do resolutions because I feel like you can always work on yourself whenever. Um, but besides that, if I had a resolution, it would be get away from 2020, which I did. So
Yes,
I
we have
did everything.
survived. We have survived. So, a round of applause or pat yourself on the back if you are listening to this. You have survived from 2020, and welcome to 2021. Um, are there anything on your bucket list that you want to get? I know we talked about bucket list on the last episode, but is there anything big that you're planning on immediately in the next 3 months, let's say?
In the next 3 months, probably not.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would just be. I don't know. I want to develop an app. Uh, I guess that's not really a bucket list thing, but sort of. I've
Hmm.
never developed an iOS app, like an application for iPhones,
Hmm.
and I just got a Mac, so I can finally do it. So I think that might be the thing I'm trying to do in the next 3 months.
What would your app do?
It would make people follow the Floatcast.
So another podcast app.
Yeah, another one.
That's great. Um, just thinking back on 2020, you ever just like think about all the activities that you did, whether that was like pre-COVID, pre-quarantine, all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
actually, the
yeah,
first day, for like January 1st, like on New Year's, I actually looked at all my pictures. I looked at every single month from the last year, and tried to find like the best times I've had, the highlights of each month.
hmm.
So for January, it was pretty good, pretty nice. February, ooh, it looked really fun too. March got a little hazy for me. After March, everything after that, it was hard for me to find a moment which really shined. So, I mean, that really just tells you how 2020 went.
Right.
That it was so hard to find. Like, I usually take pictures and videos of everything, but between like March and now, it was hard to find good moments or like a top moment. Everything was so close together. It was like everything was bland.
Right. It's good to take some time and reflect the year before and just think about the good and bad times. During this reflection, it's also good to think of what you have taken out, what you took out from the year. Is there anything in particular that you learned from the past year?
Uncertainty is always there.
Hmm.
It, like, no matter what you're doing, no one would have thought COVID's gonna take over, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's not gonna come to my country." I was like, "Oh, it's not gonna get too big," and then it slowly started getting big. I'm like, "Okay, I was proven wrong." So like, that just happens. There's so much uncertainty. I feel like that's one thing that I learned how to deal with. It's if something like you have to expect the unexpected. Like you don't have to think of the worst thing that could happen, but know that if something happens, you just want to work around it and just like figure out how to deal with it.
Hmm. I definitely agree with the uncertainty aspect of it. I mean, I heard about COVID back in January when it was reported on the news and stuff, and I also took time to reflect and look at pictures and all those memories. January is fine, February was great, and then, March, after a few concerts, everything just shut down. And for sure, like I never thought that we would get to this point. It's like to this day, 1 year, almost a year later, we're all still wearing masks.
I mean, not all of us.
Oh,
Some
well.
people are like, look in New Zealand, they're just chilling without mask, like, and they're living the life right now.
Hmm.
Um, but like, yeah, most people right now, like, masks are they're just so common now. Like, I wore a mask when I went to Nepal just because the air quality in Kathmandu, the actual central city,
Hmm.
there's dust everywhere, and you want to sort of be safe, so you wear a mask, so you don't get those dust in your lungs practically. But in like now, it's like everyone's wearing masks to protect themselves and protect others, which is really strange to see that change of mindset. Like most people in like Asia actually use masks,
Yeah.
but now coming to the Western culture and like our civilization over here, everyone's starting to use it. So it's pretty interesting. Now I think after COVID, I think masks aren't going to be like a niche anymore. I think more people are going to start using them.
I definitely agree. Straying away from all this COVID talk because, you can only have so much COVID when it's all around you, right? I recently came across a, I don't know what you want to call it. I recently come across a topic that really interested me, and I was curious if you were aware of it. Do you know anything about the Dunning-Kruger effect by any chance?
No, Andrew actually asked me this before, and I was like, "No, tell me like 2 words." He told me 2 words. I already forgot, so I
Right,
know nothing about it.
right. Well, I'll just pull up the Wikipedia here. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias in which people with low ability at a task overestimate their ability. It is related to the cognitive bias of illusory superiority and comes from people's inabilities to recognize their lack of ability. Does that make
Ah,
sense?
yeah. I've now that like you read me the definition, I think I've seen it a lot.
I mean, the picture that's shown is basically like just think of a graph and it's just a U, right? And the U basically shows like at on the left side of the U it says I'm so great, right? At a task, let's say. And at the bottom of the U it says I know nothing. And at the upper right, top right of the U it says I'm pretty good but know my limitations. With the Dunning-Kruger effect, do you ever find yourself thinking, I'm gonna be so bad at this task or something like that, or like I'm gonna be horrible. But once you do the task, it turns out that you actually did pretty good.
Yeah, it actually happens a lot. Both sides of the spectrum actually, both like thinking that I'm really good at it, and then I get into it and I'm like completely shit.
Hmm.
And then like actually thinking I'm doing really bad, but at the end of the day I do really well.
Hmm.
It's happened to me multiple times. And I think it's sort of in my line of work too. So I'm in programming. I'm a programmer, and I see a lot of people in programming. They will say they know a lot of things. It's sort of like a resume. When people go up to you, they're like, "Yeah, here's my resume. I'm proficient in Excel," but they don't know what like VLOOKUP is, like some basic commands. They don't know some of that stuff, but you've used it, so you have a bias to it, and you've used it maybe on simple stuff, and you think you're like amazing at it, but in reality, it's like there's so much more to learn in that like application or whatever. So for me personally, I there's been times where I I know I can program, but there's things I can't do that I'll try to do, and I'm like, oh, you know what? It's pretty easy because I've done stuff similar to it,
Hmm.
and then I get into it, and it's like, you know what? It's a little tough. I think I need a lot more time on it.
That's so interesting. So, do you ever overestimate your ability to do a task? Like, have you ever done that before, and then like you just found out that like you said you say you're complete shit at something. I don't know what that is, but has the opposite ever been true where you're just like, I know some stuff, but I know you're not that great. But once you actually do the task, you see that you're actually like the top 10%, let's say.
Yeah, I was at an internship. I'm not gonna name it, but
Hmm.
at the internship, I didn't know anything about like what I was supposed to do. It was a startup company. I didn't know anything, how to do whatever, and I got on thinking that this is going to be hard. So they started giving me tasks, and I was doing the task, um, and I was like, oh, I'm not doing that well. And then every single time I finished something and like gave it to my boss, he would always be like, wow, like you need to teach me how to do this, or like something like you're doing really well. You're like one of the top performers right now. So
Hmm.
I'd be like, I didn't really feel like I did a lot. I don't think I'm doing good at it, but and like the end, it's like I do pretty decent on it.
Yeah. So, I'm just looking more into the Dunning-Kruger effect. What essentially it is like if you're incompetent, right, of a task, then you tend to overestimate your own skill, fail to recognize the genuine skill and expertise of other people, and you fail to recognize your own mistakes and lack of skill. So in your case, in that case right there, you know, to me it sounded like you didn't really recognize your own skill, but someone else did.
Yeah, and I really think it's a lot of people actually they will try to sort of like learn as you go, which is one thing you have to do in work.
Hmm.
So I think that is sort of different from when you have the you already have like credentials. Say you graduated top of class, in whatever field you're in, and then you get into the actual job and you're like, you know what, I graduated, I have skill, but I don't think I can do this. I don't think I know how to do it. Because like when you get into the work field, it's like completely different from what you learn in school. So I
Hmm.
think that's where like the effect is the most strong for these like new grads and like new like first time jobs.
Yeah. Do you think going into a new task where either you're learning something, whether that's a job or just anything in really, do you think it would be better to go into it knowing that you know nothing? And do you think you would perform better that way? Or do you think it would be better to go into it thinking, being kind of positive about it and be like, I can do this, and like seeing the outcome from there?
Well, I mean, those both of those things, they're sort of similar. Like you want to go into a project or whatever you're trying to go in, like you want to go in it with an open mind. Failure is like inevitable. I can't even say the word. Like there is failure. Failure will happen.
Mhm.
You have to know that. So
It is
when you go
inevitable.
into something, yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
um, but you have to like you actually have to deal with failure. So I think you should go in knowing that you're gonna you might fail, but you also have to go in knowing that you can try and learn as you go and try not to fail. So it's sort of like I would say a sweet spot, just right in the middle. Know that you can fail, but try not to fail.
Right. It's funny you mentioned failure because I'm sure a lot of people have New Year's resolutions for the year. And, I don't know if there's a lot of people going to the gym these days or signing up for a membership because of COVID, right? But I've always like wondered like how people, those people who come up with New Year's resolutions every single year, how do they stick with it? And like, if they do stick with it, like how has it changed them? But also, if they don't stick with it and failure does come their way, is it the same New Year's resolution every single year? And if that's the case, is it really an improvement to yourself?
Yeah, and I think that goes right into what I was saying about New Year's resolutions. I don't really think you should depend on them.
Hmm.
I think that you can always change. Anytime you can change, you can start trying to do something. It's a good start using a New Year's resolution because a lot of people have a easier time to like go through it. They feel like they're reset and they have a year and they can start working on it.
Hmm.
But I think once you get into a New Year's resolution, if you really want to succeed in it, you really have to plan. You really have to take into account everything that will happen from it, and you need to do to succeed in your resolution. And I like I don't discourage New Year's resolutions. I also think if you can't complete it, say you wanted to like work out every day for 30 days and you miss a day, don't worry about that. Like you're still on your journey, just start over or like continue it and keep that missing day. So I think you just have to like go for it.
Hmm. What are your thoughts on the phrase "New Year, New Me"?
You're not changing. I'm just gonna say you're not changing. New year, new me. Your personality is the same. If you want to change that, you can change it. I don't want. I encourage you guys not to change your personality. That's something about you that makes you. But new year, new me is really it's sort of discouraging in my opinion because you're sort of saying this year I didn't do well, next year I'll make sure I do well. And like that's good, but think about all the things you did do that were great in the previous year, and then the next year just build upon it. You don't have to forget everything to become a new person, but if you want to learn some new things, it doesn't change who you are, but I don't like that saying.
You know, like it. I personally find the saying. I actually heard about the saying for the first time like a couple years ago, and maybe it came up a couple years ago. I don't know. But when I first heard that, I thought that was so cliche. I thought it was like some like random Tumblr's girl like profile account. It's like New Year, new me, and all that stuff. But no, I definitely agree with everything that you said so far. How you should always be working on yourself every single day. It doesn't matter if it's a new year, new week, new month, or if it's a blue moon. You should always be working on yourself. And um, yeah, like you said, and what you didn't really say it. Failure is I forgot what the word is anyway.
I did say it, but I'm not going to say the word
What
because
was
I
it?
will definitely. It starts with an
Oh
I.
yeah, yeah. Failure is inevitable, you know? And I think it's important to embrace all of that. And, even if you meet failure or success, I think it's also important to keep in mind that the Dunning-Kruger effect affects all of us. Going into the new year or going to a new task or a job, you have to have some sort of expectation. And whether that's high expectations or low expectations, you still have to perform. And from there, it's from there it's working on yourself and how you can be better yourself. It doesn't matter if you're the best, but you still gotta be better.
Yeah,
And
and I really think that the effect really shows how you're gonna how you're gonna take in charge what you're supposed to do. Like, do you want to improve your performance? Do you want to improve how you're working at work and how you're doing all these things, different things? It depends on you. Like you will have that U shape no matter what. I think that is in everyone,
mhm,
but if you want to build onto your performance and all of that, you have to know there's a middle ground, and you have to expect, and you have to expect the unexpected.
mhm. And I know this is a topic that we want to save for next time, but I just want to touch on it briefly. But is there a way how productivity can impact your performance?
Oh, yes, I think so. Like, I agree with this 100%. I think it affects it just because if you're really productive, if you're watching what you're doing, say you're time boxing, which is really popular productivity tool, or you're habit tracking, or you're even just like just setting basic meetings up in a calendar the day before, like all of that plays a part in your performance because you know what you want to do, you know what you have to do, and you do it, and it's like that U shape. That's the middle ground. I think the key is really uh, productivity, which comes with organization and many of those other like tools that a lot of people use. But with that U shape, if you're productive, if you're understanding what you have to do the next day, even if you don't think you're going to be like amazing at what you do, or you think you're like the best at what you do, if you have that like organization skill and you know what you need to do, you can really succeed in there. And I think it plays a huge part.
So, if you had to give a tip to anybody that's going to New Year, who's had goals for a long time, whether that's streaming or traveling the world or starting a podcast or anything really, and they just have a really hard time getting that ball rolling. What advice would you give to them on in terms of productivity and how to get it started?
Don't go all in right away. Like, you may want to do something, so like you want to get so into it. Say you have these like productivity bubbles and they burst. You all of a sudden you want to work on this project, you want to finish this project, so you're doing all these where you're working overnight, to like make sure it's everything's well, and then that bubble bursts, then your productivity like goes away. It's not really a sprint. It's really a it's really just knowing, keeping your pace. It's it's a marathon. You have to keep on doing what you're doing steady, and make sure every single day you do something different, you do something new, or you improve on what you're trying to succeed in.
Hmm. What about, I guess this question is for me then. Well, what about just like traveling to like extreme places, you know? Just like because you know that saying like you don't want to be in that box or inside the box. I don't know how the phrase goes. You don't want to be too comfortable, basically. Get
Yeah.
outside of your box, basically. Um, what would would that same advice still apply, even though if you're a type of person that wants to go outside of the box, do something that makes you uncomfortable?
I mean, nothing's gonna make you comfortable right away.
Hmm.
The things that don't make you that make you uncomfortable sometimes are the things that make you grow, or show you new ideas that you can do. So you just have to keep in mind that if it's like the it's like a fine line of uncomfortable. You'll know that if something's wrong and it's uncomfortable, then don't do it, of course.
Yeah.
But if something's wrong, like say you're shy or you're introverted and you really want to start working on that. So to get out of your comfort zone, you go to this random group and you say hi. Like that is going to be super uncomfortable, but it might be one of your goals to start talking or start meeting new people. And I think you should go take that step, because to like grow, there's going to be uncomfortable roads and uncomfortable bumps in the way.
Hmm. It's funny that you said going to a random group and saying hi, right?
Yeah.
I not I mean, I've done that before. Anyway, but I've always thought about how about the phrase that silence is loud, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard that phrase before? Silence is loud.
I have heard that.
And I'm like really curious, have you ever tried experimenting with that? Like whether that's with a group of people or friends and you're just all hanging out, but then it just gets really quiet. Are you the type of person that tries to break the silence, or are you the type of person that kind of embraces the silence?
You know what? I'm like both. I'm an introvert and an extrovert. So if I'm in like a group and it all turns silent, if it's like dead silent, no music going on, I might just try to like bring up the conversation, like, but like I like filling the room, because I if it's just completely quiet, I get shivers. But if it's yeah, so if it's completely silent, I'll speak up. If there's music in the background, I might just chill. I just enjoy the music. Maybe everyone else is just enjoying the music. Uh, I wouldn't let it last for like 20 minutes. Probably say something. It's like when you're in a car ride. I know I'm the sort of guy that, and it's sort of hard. Like I want to talk to people in the car, but sometimes like people just want to chill in the car. So like just a balance with that. Just like when you want to talk about something pretty interesting, just throw it out, like go for it. But if you guys just want to chill, then you can be quiet in the moment, and it's still like you're still in the presence of other people. So I think it is silence is loud. I still think that is very applicable to that.
Mm. Would you say that silence makes you uncomfortable?
I think for me, yes, personally, it's very uncomfortable for me. I like having at least something. If there's music, I'm fine. If there's like I don't know, like a YouTube video playing in the background, or like just Netflix on the background, I'm fine. If I'm studying, I like silence, but like my mind is the one bringing noise, like thinking about what I'm doing.
So when you go to bed, do you have background noises playing at all, whether that's white noise or anything like that?
I play podcasts for like 30 minutes before I sleep,
What
like
kind
one
of podcast
episode.
do you listen to, Roshan?
I listen to The Minimalist, one of my favorite. They just had a documentary that just came out. You should check it out. It's called Less Is Now on Netflix. Because I really enjoy them. They have really soothing voices too, so I do play them at night just because I enjoy it. I mean I play them regardless of what time it is, but at night it sort of just like smooths me, gets my mind stop thinking and just relaxes me.
Mm. I personally listen to the Flowcast. I don't know about the minimalist. I'm
You know
kidding.
what? I actually listen to the Flowcast as well. I have them on 24/7.
Uh, just a plug of our own. No, but that's really interesting how, you have background noises playing, but when you're studying, you have nothing playing at all.
Yeah, I can't study with like music or anything. I can't even play some games with music on, because I get really into it, so I really want the footsteps and all of that. But
Hmm.
I have to like when I study, I can't have anything. When I'm reading, like when I'm coding, I can play music. Um, but it's more specifically reading. If I'm reading, I cannot have anything going on. It has to be only the book. Besides that, everything else I can play music on.
It's interesting. And you said you're you said this earlier. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I think there's a word for in between those. I don't think I'm an introvert. No, I think I'm an introvert and an extrovert. There's times where I'll be just really shy and like not talk to anyone, just want to be by myself. But then there's times where I'm like more extroverted, and I think that really helps with who I'm around because I get really comfortable with certain types of people.
Hmm. So, would you say you more align yourself with an introvert or an extrovert? I know like you're kind of in between, but if you had to categorize yourself, which where would you align yourself more?
I would categorize myself as an introvert.
What qualities make you lean that way besides
I,
like wanting some alone time?
I think that's like the main one. Besides that, I feel like sometimes I'd rather not like go to a party or anything. I'd rather just go on my computer and play some video games or code.
So, does social interaction make you tired?
Yes, actually, a lot. I I don't think I stay up late enough. I do, but when I'm out, I really want to sleep really early.
Oh, really? Even when you're like out at a party, you're just like, oh, 10 o'clock, time to go.
I mean, that's the worst. It'll be like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, I would say, at a party. I start getting tired at 10, and then at 11, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of bored. I kind of want to just go to bed and like lay down and watch some YouTube or like just chill.
Hmm. So when you go to concerts, whether that's by yourself or with friends, after all of that, are you like exhausted or do you have a little bit more energy to go out at it?
See, that's the thing. I'm always exhausted later at night, but I can always power through it, and I always do. So, like, if I'm at a party, most of the times I'll stay there for a little longer. I won't be the last one who leaves. But if I'm at a concert, I would definitely after it go get some food. I'm usually tired at that point, but then like
You
after
need food at that
food,
point.
yeah, and then like if I'm with company, I'm fine, and that's where my extrovert ness comes from. I my introvert makes me want to go home, but my extrovert says, "Don't go home. Have fun.
Push
You
through a
need
little
to have
bit.
fun." Yeah,
I feel that. Yeah, I personally, I don't know at this point where I align myself with. Like you, I would say I'm in between, but these days I see myself more on the extrovert side, whereas, in the past I would see myself as an extreme introvert. I think that's
yeah,
mostly because like nowadays, like when I hang out with friends or like go out, I'm not necessarily tired of it. And like I'm more the person that kind of wants to keep going, you know? And
yeah. I think you're an extrovert. It's hard to cut, but I definitely think you're an extrovert. Just like I think you grew into an extrovert even when you were young. I think when like we knew each other in high school, I think you were more introverted then. But
yeah,
after like maybe freshman year of college, I think you started to like become an extrovert.
yeah, college changes people.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing for me. I think I was an introvert, more of an introvert, probably extreme introvert, like you said in high school.
You know,
Um, and yeah,
actually, I think you were more in high school and junior high because we knew each other for quite a bit. I think during those times, yeah, you were an introvert, but at the same time, you had random spurts of energy that would scream extrovert.
I
But
think that's yeah, that's just how I am now too.
nowadays, I feel like ever since like ever since we started college, like freshman year, I think you have been more in control of how your energy is spread across. I think you're a lot more mature about it. Yeah, I see some introvert stuff about you, but at the same time, when you show those extrovert qualities, you're very mature about it and doesn't scream, I'm, I'm screaming extrovert. It just says, oh, like, yeah, I can go about it.
Yeah, I think that's the introvert making me calm down.
Oh, okay. So,
It's making me go to sleep, so I can't
right,
be too excited.
right. Um, but yeah, like you said, like I definitely agree with that. Me personally, high school, junior high, like all my life, basically, I think I was mostly an introvert. But college, I think that kind of exposed me to a lot of things, and I was like, you know what, like, that very cheesy and cliche thing, YOLO, or really dumb thing to say, YOLO, you only live once. Um, and I just thought, if I'm gonna be ashamed, I'm only gonna be ashamed of like one person or like one action one day, right? So that kind of motivated me to just be like, you know what, just screw it. Like I'll just do whatever I want and I'll pay for the consequences later, whatever they are. And, you know, it's not gonna be too bad.
Yeah, I think it's really you just have to push yourself to like grow in general. You have to push yourself. I think that's what happened to me. It's like I know that I can talk to people, but you usually like sort of like scares me a little, but like I push myself because I know like eventually I get better at it, and I can communicate pretty well.
Hmm.
So I think even like when I went abroad, I think that increased it so much because it's like everyone there is interested about you and interested about where you're from. So you just grow into like more of an extrovert when you like travel a lot. So I
Hmm.
think that trait just like sort of like grew it up. I think if you talked to me last year, I'd be more introverted than if you talk to me this year. I think this year I can keep a conversation going on for like I don't know how many hours, probably like all day. But before last year, it'd be like 20 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I'm like, I'm tired. Let me sleep.
That's really interesting that you mentioned how you used to be, well, I don't know if you used to be or you still are, but like you going up to a random person talking to them, right? That kind of like, was kind of daunting, right?
Yeah.
Yet you had a YouTube channel a long time ago that was basically pranking people. And you just, I recall one of those videos you said, like, do you want pot? And you literally had like a mini pot in your hand, like the kitchen pot, not pot. Um, did that scare you at all?
No, like if you have a camera on me, I think that's when I'm like very comfortable because it's like if anything goes wrong, I'm just like, yeah, we're just recording. There's a camera, and that like that time when I had that YouTube, I was really young. I think that's when I was the most introverted, and
Hmm.
having that camera on me, it just made me like feel safe in that sense. It like made me feel like I could be sort of who I was, without like getting too scared. So I think
Hmm.
that's what really helped me. But I was still super scared. Whenever I went up to them, I would be like, all right, I hope this works. I hope I don't get beat up.
Hmm. What made you start that YouTube channel?
I had a YouTube back in 2007, I think.
Oh
My
wow.
first YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Um, the only like it was just me dancing. And then like I had a video of me doing flips that I posted for the school. And that's why I started there. And then after that, I went into gaming a lot, and I started making YouTube videos for that. Then I think it was 2014 or 13. I got into pranking with my cousin. We wanted to start a YouTube video channel, so we started it. He eventually left, and that's the channel I currently have, which is going to be used eventually. I want to do something with it, but for now, it's just sitting there.
Oh, so you're gonna continue some sort of content on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely not pranking. Probably like programming or some like tech reviews or something. I have a video. The last video was a year ago, maybe, about me reviewing a boosted board. So sort of like that style of content, but that comes with motivation, and that's the reason I stopped. So
Hmm.
I need to get that motivation back.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see that video of you dancing when you're younger.
You will never find that channel, and if you do, I'll give you like $10.
I mean, what if like we had like 100 viewers listening to this podcast? Would you release it then?
No, I still wouldn't. They would have to find it.
Oh,
You don't get easy work. You have to do it for yourself.
oh, dang. Um, dang. Well, yeah, you basically been on YouTube for a lot of its time then.
Yeah, I think it came out in 2005 or 6. Like it came out, and when it started getting big is when I started making YouTube videos. Like I remember Anthony Padilla on like the
Smosh.
yeah, Smosh. I remember them on the trending page back when the trending page was really good. It's getting better to be honest, but before it, when it was amazing.
Hmm.
Like I know all the OGs. I love all the OGs. I'm still like obsessed with YouTube, and I think that's just how I grew up. So it's sort of just it's gonna stay with me for a long time.
So you found comfort on holding a camera and having the camera on you, but also just being on the website itself.
Yeah, it was like my whole life. It's I mean, like still I still go on YouTube, and I would say I watch YouTube more than I watch Netflix or TV. Besides, like even more than NBA games, I watch it a lot just because like you can find anything on there and it's sort of entertaining.
Hmm.
You can learn stuff on there, or you can just play some random video in the background.
Do you consider YouTube to be a social media platform?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's I think it is. I think it might change, like how they have YouTube TV now. I
Hmm.
think they're trying to stray away from it, sort of go more ad friendly, so more like television style. But I do still think it's a social media, at least right now. It's been growing, um, and it's been leaning towards like TV, television, online videos. But I think there's still a really strong social media aspect to it.
Hmm. What is your favorite social media, Roshan?
My favorite social media. I mean, probably YouTube, to be honest.
Yeah.
Following that, I would say maybe like not Instagram, maybe Instagram. I think that's pretty enjoyable. Instagram.
Hmm. It kind of annoys me how like a long time ago Instagram was like, we're not gonna order your, feed by time now, but relative to like something else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, sort of.
Like it's not like, oh, this was uploaded like 1 minute ago, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. It goes more along the lines like this was uploaded 4 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 7 hours ago.
Yeah, I wish they fixed that, but at the same time, I think it's just how they organize everything.
Yeah, I'm just like, come on. Like, I don't know. I was kind of annoyed by that. Um, but yeah, I think that's everything, Roshan.
Yeah, I want you guys to make sure you follow us and listen to our new podcast posted every single Sunday. That's right, at 12 p.m. Central Time. Remember, you can find us on Twitch, YouTube, and your favorite podcast platforms. We just got onto like 9 of them, so search it. We're probably on it. Thank you for listening, and this is the Floatcast.
Bye.